Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, I got to be honest with you. When you change things in life, it can be very uncomfortable. As adults, we fear change. We like to stick with what we know and be comfortable. But when you're a child, it's even more challenging. So today we're going to talk about children and changes. When there are changes within the household, school, friends, all of that. How does that look to a child? And as a parent or grandparent, how do you navigate that? And she works with all ages, and she's an amazing psychologist. Gloria, Dr. Vanderhorst. Gloria Vanderhorst is back with us.
That's
Gloria, welcome.
fine.
How are you?
Thank you, Steve. I'm glad to be here again. It's fun to talk with you.
You too. And I feel that we hit things from time to time that is, you're not going to find the information anywhere else, especially in, call it 30 minutes, but it's a challenge for children when changes come up, and it's going to come up no matter what it is. It could be a friend moves away. There's a change. It could be
those are painful for children. You don't realize how painful those are for children. They emotionally shut themselves down. All right. So they have this little buddy that they've been playing with in the neighborhood and feeling really close to, and then the family has to up and move. You don't realize what that attachment is. Children grieve. People don't think they do, but they really do.
I never thought that.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not surprised, but I never thought of it that way.
And then they shut down parts of themselves. It's like, okay, that's too painful. So the next person that wants to be a friend to me, I'm going to be more cautious. Right? I'm not going to go into that the way that I went into this last friendship. And so you just chip away at relationship building when you lose someone like that. It's powerful.
Are children really good at doing the shutdown?
Children are very good at emotional intelligence. They're brilliant. It's the only survival mechanism they have. Think about it, all right? They can't walk, they can't talk, they can't feed themselves. But reading the emotion in the world around them is their survival mechanism. They are brilliant. We lose that brilliance as we age, but they are absolutely brilliant. If you could tap into their brain and kind of get a picture or the language of what they are experiencing in the dynamics of the family around them and the society around them, they are brilliant. They know who's honest. They know who's dishonest. They know who's kind of cheating or trying to slip things by somebody else. They're emotionally brilliant. I love that fact about them.
Why do we lose that as adults?
Oh, the world around us lies to us. I mean, think about it. So you're a little kid and you're scared of the dark. All right. And of course, mother or father is going to tell you that it's safe. They're going to open the closet door. They're going to look under the bed, right? They don't validate your fear. It's reasonable to be afraid. All right. And I want to be curious. If you're afraid, I'm putting you to bed. All right. You're 3 or 4 and you're afraid. You have a very good reason to be afraid. And if I deny that, if I say to you, there's nothing wrong, there's no reason to be afraid, close your eyes, go to sleep, I'm telling you a lie because you have a reason to be afraid. I should be searching that out. That reminds me of an adult client that I had years ago. And we were talking about early childhood. Everybody has kind of typically a favorite toy or something like that. And so I asked him, I said, well, when you went to bed, what was your favorite comfort object? Now, you will not be able to guess this one. a wooden rifle.
Wow.
Think about the dynamics in that family, right? His
Interesting.
comfort object was a wooden rifle. That tells you a lot about what's happening in the family system. I've got to protect myself, even in the
Right.
sleep of the night.
But you bring up some really great points, Gloria, in that we can't dismiss children when they
Right,
present something to us.
right.
And I'm first off, I'm going to say that my children have said things to me and I didn't dismiss it. I'm like, oh, okay. But they were right. Now, I don't
Uh-huh,
know if it was, and we can go in a different direction for a moment here, intuition or whatever. But, my daughter has said to me before, even in the last few years, that person is creepy or
uh-huh,
that's not a right situation.
right.
And face value, I'm like, I didn't shut her down. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
She was right
yeah,
twice,
right,
very on target.
right.
And that one in particular situation, I didn't see it. Not a bad situation, but definitely she was right. And
Mhm.
I should have listened, but I didn't have a
Yeah,
reason to listen.
we do not think of emotion as an aspect of intelligence,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we think of accumulating information and packing information in our heads, but we don't think that our brains perceive and process subtleties that give us real clear information about the environment around us. And children know who's safe and who isn't safe.
Yeah.
It's really wise to pay attention to them.
Yeah. And do you think it's because they're wired that way for preservation?
Oh, yeah, they're definitely wired that way for
Hmm.
preservation. All
Wow.
right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be, crying and screaming when something goes awry in their orbit.
And when they're
They're
younger,
brilliant.
we take it for granted, but they don't know any other. They just got triggered by something that was
Right,
alarming, so they react to it.
right,
Um, Plus, they don't have all the other distractions that we have as adults. And everybody,
right,
whether you believe it or not, it's been said before that everybody's intuitive. Call it your gut feeling, something
right,
you got it. Um, but as a child, you don't have to worry. Even an animal.
right.
Animals are so
Animals are
great at reading
intelligent that
energy.
way too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because they're not paying mortgage bills. They don't have to worry about, buying food. All the other stuff that adults worry about, children and animals aren't worrying about it. They're just,
Right. Now, if you want to know who to trust in your boardroom, bring your baby to work
mm,
and
mm.
pass the baby around the room. All right. The baby will give you clear, accurate information about who is safe and trustworthy.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Or if you want to take it, bring your cat, bring your dog,
Right.
they'll know.
Right.
I don't know what it is, and I'm very humble, but I have and always did wonderful animals. They're
That's
sweet,
great.
affectionate, loving,
Hmm.
smart. And I just think it's my energy finds them and I pick them out and
Absolutely.
that's it. I'm the guy, I walk down the street and the dog's walking with their owner. All of a sudden the dog turns around and looks at me like,
Hmm.
hey, what's going on? And I think they're
Yeah,
picking up on
absolutely.
energy.
And you should definitely trust that. Right? You
I
have this
am.
intuitive sense of who is safe and who isn't safe.
It's getting
That's
better.
valuable.
It's getting better.
That's that's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it's taken a long time to actually read that, but
Well, you have to get in touch with it. All right. So we also have other life experiences that train us, like, we'll pick a spouse or somebody to date because we want to repair something in our earlier life. We don't realize that we're picking them for that reason, but we definitely are. Right? I have another client who picks women that will reject him. Right? He was rejected by his mother. He wants to repair that in some way, and on a conscious level, he really doesn't realize that he's picking women that will reject him. But he is spot on every time. right? He just has this laser sense of,
Yeah.
that person will be nice to me for a few days and then they will start to reject me. It's because we need to repair. And if I can't discover what that repair process is for me, I'm just going to keep repeating it.
This is big right here. We pivoted from one direction to another, but what you're saying is big stuff in terms of our subconscious,
Right.
and not just picking people, but in general. So in this, and is it also, Gloria, he's trying to repair something subconsciously,
Right.
but is it also the familiarity of the situation?
Oh, sure. I know what to do in this situation. All
Right.
right. This person who is going to disappoint me, turn me down, kind of reject me, put me down, that I'm used to that. I know what that's going to feel like. I know kind of methods to protect myself, not protect myself completely, but enough that I can survive in this relationship. When someone, a woman is attracted to me who doesn't have that characteristic, right, and really wants to move closer to me, those people are dangerous to
Hmm.
this guy. All right. Why does she want to spend so much time with me? All right. Why does she, like the same stuff that I like? What's this about? What's going to happen next? It creates a sense of this is unfamiliar. And if it's unfamiliar, it must be dangerous, which is not true,
Sure.
right? I've got to uncover the original source of that connection, that pain that I have, and be able to separate it, kind of take that apart. I don't need to be rejected by mother over and over and over again in all of my other relationships. I deserve to have someone who enjoys me, who thinks I'm funny, who listens to my stories, who wants to hang around me. I deserve to be liked. I deserve to be loved.
Do you know who she is? And please introduce her to me. Now,
Sure.
it's also a challenge too when two people get together and one of them is picking the other person for excuse me, their reason, and then
Right.
the other is, so now you've got two different dynamics going on, right?
Yeah, but they usually fit together like great puzzle pieces, right? We tend to refer to them as lock and key couples. So one of them is searching for this characteristic, the other one is searching for the opposite characteristic, and they just fit together like a lock and key.
Hmm.
They're not good for each other, all right? They're eventually going to be
Right.
probably going to create distance and live a parallel life, or they're going to blow each other apart.
Yeah.
They're not really good for each other. But if you're busy trying to repair what happened to you in early childhood, you're going to be attracted to the person that you don't recognize as similar to mother or father, but they clearly are similar and they give you that opportunity to engage in repair. And, sometimes years will go by before you finally go, oh no, right? I married my father or I married my mother. And this is not going to work out.
Mm. Yeah. A lot of times we can't figure that out. It
Right.
takes somebody like you to start peeling those layers back. And what you're saying in my, call it, experience, observation, is so spot on. It is like
Yeah.
the baseline for a lot of relationships, unless somebody has, and we all have trauma. We've all gone through
Mhm.
stuff.
That's right.
We're all healing from something, but
Right.
unless you figure it out, you're just going to keep repeating it and might
Right.
not even know it. Sometimes it's revealed. I mean, in
Hmm.
previous relationships in my world, I didn't see it so much on the other side, but now it's like completely revealed to the point where I have an ex
Uh-huh.
who is with somebody now that looks like her father. I
Uh-huh.
mean, It doesn't get any closer than that. If I showed you two pictures,
Yeah,
you'd be blown
right.
away. And same nationality, same hobbies, same
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
Were they seeking that in me? Potentially, but
Potentially. Yeah,
and then realize that you're not getting it
right,
because I'm not your father.
right.
And there you go. But yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
that
mixed
that
up.
puts us back into childhood, right? We
Right.
do not do a good job of emotional education for parents or emotional education in school systems. We pretend
Right.
that emotion just really isn't that important, but it drives so many of our decisions and choices
Yep.
that if we started to pay attention to it early on, everybody would be much better off because you can make a change when you're younger much more easily than when you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 on
That's
up.
100%. And
Mhm.
even teaching children how to handle their emotions
Mhm.
could be so impactful, but it's not taught. Same thing
Oh,
with the
it's not.
parents.
We don't, we started here. We don't validate kids' emotions, right? I'm
Right.
scared when I go to bed. No, nobody validates that, right? We tell them, well, there's no reason to be afraid, and
Mm,
the windows are locked and the door is closed, and you're perfectly safe here. Obviously, they're not. If they are telling you they're afraid, I want to dive into that. What is that fear? I want you to tell me more about that so that I can learn what's the piece of history
hmm.
that's kind of rolling through your brain right now that I had no idea created fear for you. I want to know what that is so that we can work through it and address that fear instead of just going, oh no, right? There's no reason to be afraid.
That's huge. And most parents don't think of it in that term because, and we come from a great place. We just want our little one to be happy and
Right.
safe. And we know they are relatively safe.
Yeah, they
We're
are.
trying to convince them of that,
Hmm.
you're okay. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm going to shut the light off and you're going to go to
Hmm.
bed. I'm right outside the room and say, but in
Right.
their mind, no, 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 we have a problem.
No,
Something's
no,
up.
it's dangerous. It's
Right.
really dangerous. And so I want to be able to legitimize that, do some research with that little one, figure out what is it they're perceiving, because that's reality for
Yeah.
them. They're
Yeah.
smart.
In that situation, what do we do? Is it ask questions? Is it learn what really is troubling them? It's a possibility, very strong one, we might not even figure it out.
Okay, well, you may not figure it out right away, but eventually you will figure it out.
Okay.
But questions are threatening. Think about a situation where you're walking down the hall in your office, right? And somebody asks you, do you know what time it is? And you
Mm,
go, oh, yeah, right? There's this little jerk of, oh, I have to give them the right response. All right. That's a little bit of anxiety. Questions are threatening. So
mm.
I try to teach people, parents in particular, to eliminate questions. So, I don't want to go to sleep. I'm scared. Tell me more. All right. Show me
Mm.
what's scary for you. Not why are you scared? Because why are you scared? A question like, what time is it? Demands a right answer. All right. And if I'm 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, there is no right answer to why are you scared? All right. There's a life
Mm.
experience that I could share if you give me the cue to, tell me more, keep talking about it. I'm really interested in what's going on that's creating this fear. But why are you afraid? Is a demand for a right answer. I don't have a right answer. So don't ask me questions.
It's interesting how it's the opposite in terms of adults, because it's always been said one of the best things you can ever do is ask questions, ask lots
Right.
of questions of another adult. And that's how you engage them, even if you ask them a question about themselves. Of
Right. What
course.
do you do for a living?
Right.
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 Where have you traveled?
Right. Where were you last night when that thunderstorm hit? It was crazy, right? And
Right.
sure, everybody's got an experience, but it's quite the opposite when you're dealing with children. But we don't look at it that way. We don't think of it
But
that
I
way.
would say even with adults, you want to make an effort to eliminate the questions and
Mm.
do that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Oh, I'd love to hear about that. Statements open people up. Questions narrow them down. What
Is
did
it
you do
okay?
there?
Is it okay to strike a balance and say, ask how someone feels? The word feel is so strong to say, how are you feeling about that? What are your
Yeah,
feelings?
yeah. Tell me your feelings,
Okay.
right?
Because it's your feelings. There is no wrong answer.
There's no right or wrong answer to
Right.
it.
Okay.
But you're going to get a lot further if you can do tell me or share what you're feeling. I'm really interested in what's happening
Yeah.
with you. That's softer in nature.
Hmm.
And we still have this expectation that when you ask a question, I'm supposed to please you in some way. I'm supposed to give you something that will please you in some way. But when you make the statement, I have freedom, right? I can breathe. I can go any place I want. I care about you. I'm interested. Keep talking.
Wow. We're talking. Oh, we have a couple of minutes left here about changes in children. Let's go with a move. It can
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Moves are fascinating because mother and father have no clue about the impact of a physical move from one house to the next. And
Mm.
they typically do not really prepare a child for that kind of a move either. I'll tell you my own little story. Let's see. I think my daughter was 3 or maybe 4 when we moved from one house to another house. And when you go house shopping, you go visit different houses, right? And sometimes we take her along, sometimes we go by ourselves, but she went to these various houses. And so the house that we bought was a house that had 2 children living in it, 2 children and a dog and their parents. And so she'd been through the house, and for some reason, she decided that we were moving, mother and father were moving, and she's staying behind because the house was already had these 2 children in it with their decorated bedrooms. And so she didn't want to move because it meant we were leaving and she was staying in the original house. So you have no idea what's kind of going through a kid's
Wow.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be anything. It could be just an object that they
Right,
want to bring with them, but,
right,
you haven't identified it yet.
right,
Or I don't want to say something as simple as, but even setting up their room similar to the way it was,
right.
little things like that.
Oh, that reminds me. I tell parents when you move, all right, that you tell your child that they can put the furniture in their room any place they want. All right. So
Yes.
you say to them, show me where you want your bed, lay down on the floor. If it's in the middle of the room, you put that bed in the middle of the room, right? Show
Yes.
me where you want your dresser, go stand where you want your dresser. If it's in front of the window, you put that dresser in front of the window.
Uh-huh.
Ownership of a space is so critical.
Yeah.
Right? And it's
Yeah.
so powerful for a child to experience this is really my space, and I've created the comfort that I want in this space.
Even an
So,
adolescent, I had the
yeah.
similar situation with my daughter at 14, uh, not too long ago. And I let her pick out the furniture she wanted. I
Uh-huh.
let her friend came over for an entire weekend and they decorated. And I was
Right.
like, all right, guys, yeah, just do it. And I had to walk away. Let me tell
Right.
you,
Just walk away.
they did a great job.
Sure.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
amazing. And the one thing, this is, give them creative license. When I was moving, I'm in music. I've been playing music on the radio forever. I had to get rid of a bunch of records. And I put them at the curb and at my old house. I'm driving down the street and I see my neighbors walking away. Hey, thanks for the albums. I'm like, yeah. Don't have time to sell them. Well, wouldn't you know it, my daughter grabbed a bunch of them.
Good.
Like classic artists like Fleetwood Mac,
right?
Billy Joel, Doors, classic stuff. She doesn't even know who they are. And she and her friend found one wall, found my screw gun, and
put them on the wall.
And they came out fantastic.
That's great.
And they were just into the artwork, but that's what I'm saying. Give them creative license, set them free. And emotionally, it's a positive thing too, where they can express.
It's very, very positive. They take ownership of that space. It's a sense of belonging. We all need the sense of belonging.
For sure.
It's basic.
I'm glad you belong here with me, but we're out of time.
Okay.
Talking about moving, we have to move on.
All right.
Your website is your name, right, Gloria?
That's right. It's www.drvanderhorst.com. So it's www.drvanderhorst.com.
Always great insight. And it's funny. We start in one direction, we pivot into another direction. Right. It is loosely connected sometimes, but it's all stuff that
we travel around.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You are welcome. Enjoy your day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.